Talk TUF 27 finale. It is the Friday of International Fight Week. Doing this video live on YouTube, kind of definitely spontaneously, as I'm having some webcam issues and I can stream live, but I can't record. So we'll see how this live thing goes. I'm going to do this episode as well as the UFC 226 episode. So, if you have any questions, definitely go ahead and chime in. Again, these are DraftKings specific picks. So to go through each fight in the card, DraftKings based lean pricing, all that good stuff. As always, give me a follow on Twitter at the DFS Sniper. Just one S. Let's just jump right into it because we have a bunch of fights to talk about tonight. The other video, by the way, the UFC 226 live video will be right after this. It will be a separate video, separate stream. So make sure and check that out as well. Oscar Pajota, 9,000, taking on Gerald GM3 Meerschaert at 7,200. Personally, I just don't think Meerschaert is very good. Pajota is a more well-rounded prospect. Meerschaert beat Eric Spicely last time out. He also has wins over Joe Gelati and Ryan James. Nothing to write home about. He's an okay kickboxer. I think Pajota really is just better wherever this fight goes. I think he's better on the feet. I think he's probably better on the ground. I like Pajota really wherever this fight goes. 9,000 is a little steep, but this is a card where there's a lot of live dogs on this card, so I'm not too afraid of spending the money. Oscar Pajota is the play at 9,000. Next up, Matt Bissett, 8,900, taking on Steven Peterson at 7,300. This is a fight to me that is closer than the line indicates. Matt Bissett lost to Henrique Barzola last time out. He couldn't stop a takedown. He is a veteran of the CES scene here in the Northeast. Steven Peterson, meanwhile, was in an all-out brawl with Brandon Davis, landed one takedown, 73 significant strikes. Brandon Davis put it on him, but Steven Peterson just showed how tough he is. Again, I think this is a close fight where toughness could play into it. I like the discount on Steven Peterson at 7,300. I think it's a coin flip type fight. Bissett is the more complete, experienced mixed martial artist. He will have the experience edge here. Pick'em wise, I might lean Bissett, but with the volume Peterson puts out and his toughness, and I think the safety for cash games, Peterson will actually be my preferred DraftKings play at 7,300. Next up is a fight that DraftKings added to this card late, thankfully, through all of us, bitching and moaning on Twitter. They were going to leave it out. Thankfully, it's in. Tyler Diamond, 8,400, taking on Bryce Mitchell at 7,800. Tyler Diamond was upset by Jay Cuccinello on Wednesday's episode of The Ultimate Fighter. He was the favorite to win the whole thing. Really, he got an early knockdown and just hunted for the finish, eventually gassed himself out, and Cuccinello did enough body work, and it paid off with a third-round finish. Diamond is similar to the Pajota fight. I think Diamond is just a little better than Mitchell everywhere this fight goes. I think he has good striking. He hits harder. He can grapple with Mitchell. I don't think he'll be caught off guard there. Probably has the more technical grappling. I think that loss to Cuccinello, which isn't really a loss in his record because it's an exhibition fight, is going to serve him very well in the future. I like Tyler Diamond. I really like the price point at 8,400. He's probably one of my favorite point per dollar fighters on the card, so he is the preferred play. John Gunther, 8,400, taking on Alan Zuniga, 7,800. Oof, two guys who just, I don't know why they're on this card. I know they were on the show, but they're other guys. Gunther lost twice in the show. He is basically a punching bag. Zuniga got a bye because Richie Smolin cramped up in the first round and then did not look good at all in his second fight. I want to lean John Gunther for DraftKings just because he's more likely to look for takedowns, but he leads with his face and he could get beat up. I also think Zuniga looked a little undersized. I want to see how they look at weigh-ins. Not a confident pick, but because I know he's going to look for the grappling, and that's what we look for on DraftKings, John Gunther will be the preferred play at 8,400. Nacho Lewis, DFS Army in the building. It is. Make sure you go to DFS Army. Check out all the tools there. MMA, MLB, NBA, all that good stuff. Use the code SNIPER for 10% off the VIP stuff. You'll see me in Slack. I give out some really specific ownership plays for GPPs there. Nice to have you watching the video live, Nacho. Luis Pena, 9,300, taking on Richie Smolin at 6,900. Smolin didn't fight. As I mentioned, he cramped up. He's a leg lock specialist, taking on the season darling Luis Violent Bob Ross Pena. Pena, I think, will do well enough to stop the takedowns and should outclass Smolin on the feet pretty comfortably. Just has to avoid the leg locks, which in MMA can get you beat up. Really, I like Pena everywhere. Smolin's dead to a sub. He's almost Andrew Holbrook-like. I don't really like guys like that. I'll take Pena in all formats pretty comfortably at 9,300. Montana De La Rosa 8,500, taking on Rachel Ostovich at 7,700. This is one of the fights that I'm finding really interesting for GPPs. Everyone's talking up Rachel Ostovich. It is a close fight. I believe the line is closed a little bit. She looked good in her UFC debut. That was against Gevorgian, though, who is not very good. She subbed her. She's not going to sub Montana De La Rosa. De La Rosa's BJJ game is stronger. The issue is that Ostovich is physically stronger, and Montana's got to find a way to get this fight to the ground. I think she could struggle doing that, but Ostovich, I don't think, is worlds and away better on the feet. She is physically stronger, and that's the only way I see this fight going her way. I don't think I'm going to play it in cash because there are spots I'm more confident in, but everyone is so confident in Ostovich. I think De La Rosa is going to go pretty under-owned here, and for that reason, she's really interesting to me in GPPs. You know, one of those classic, I'm going to zig when everybody else zags, and we'll see how it goes, but I like De La Rosa. She's my pick to win the fight slightly, my preferred play on DraftKings. Looking up at some more content, somebody asking about soccer plays. I absolutely will have soccer plays. Go out and check in Slack. That article is already out on DFS Army. I will drop my top threes in Slack later for you. And I'm glad to be doing this live. You know, if it's something I might look to keep on doing and just kind of throw out there, and whoever is around can listen, and you can always, you know, catch up with it later. But I'm enjoying seeing some of these comments and the feedback and talking with you guys. Julian Marquez, 8,800, taking on Alessio Di Chirico, 7,400. Julian Marquez had a war with Darren Stewart last time out, got a second round sub. He's a little wild. Technically, he's not that good to me. Alessio Di Chirico, I know he lost to Eric Spicely. He lost to Bojan Velichkovic, and his wins are to Gareth McClellan and Aloali Bambose. Neither of these guys, in my opinion, are that good. I think Chirico, though, can set up the takedowns better. He could land some takedowns in this fight. I also think he's the more technical striker. Marquez is the harder hitter. For the discount, though, taking all that into consideration, I'm going to lean Alessio Di Chirico straight up because I like him technically. And for this price savings, 7,400 to 8,800, he will be the preferred play. Barb Honchak, 8,700, taking on Roxanne Modafferi, 7,500. Speaking of DFS Army, the Fantasy Football Geek is notorious for saying that Barb Honchak is a soccer mom in his local neighborhood. She's not, but you know, when he first said that, nobody really believed him, and that was kind of his point. Roxanne Modafferi, the Happy Warrior, a really unique personality in women's MMA, has been around a long time, but she's not really a proven winner. She you know, 21-15 professional record. Her UFC fights are a loss to Nico Montano and a loss to Raquel Pennington. Granted, the Montano fight was 5 rounds, back and forth. Barb Honchak lost to Lauren Murphy, who just not very good. The problem is that Roxanne's striking is not good. It's this awkward style. Honchak should be better on the feet. I don't think Modafferi is going to be able to get her to the ground, and Honchak has enough veteran savvy to stay out of those submissions. I think Honchak wins, but I'm really worried about the scoring in this fight, but I can't pick Modafferi for the upset, so Honchak will be the preferred play at 8,700. Alex Caceres, 8,300, taking on Martin Bravo, 7,900. Caceres is a 500 fighter, 13-11. Lost to Guan last time out. Beat Rolando D. Before that, you know, he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. He lost to Jason Knight and Yair Rodriguez. Now, those last 2 names are big names. Martin Bravo, on the other hand, is the up-and-coming prospect. Beat Claudio Puelles and lost to Humberto Bandone. He got starched. I'm going to lean towards Caceres and that veteran presence here. It's not a fight I want to target in cash. And interestingly enough, while the pick is Caceres, this is one of those things that I point out all the time. I think Bravo has more DraftKings upside. So at 7,900, I think he's more likely to get a finish and is more in play for GPPs. So he's the better DraftKings play, the preferred play. But my pick for the fight, I think the movement of Caceres is enough to get him a decision. Moving on to our TUF finale fights, we have Jay Cuccinello, 7,600, taking on Brad Katona, 8,600. The two dark horses, I think Katona does enough here. He's not going to throw everything away looking for a knockout as Tyler Diamond did. I think he's a little better grappler. Cuccinello really is all heart. I think Katona is just, again, a little better everywhere, but this is a lower level fight. Anything can happen in these, but from what I've seen on tape, I do think Katona is better, and Katona will be the preferred play at 8,600. Same price point for the other finale fight. It is, I always forget his first name, Joe Giannetti. I keep wanting to call him Jay. It's not right. Joe Giannetti, 8,600, taking on Mike Trezano, 7,600. While a really close fight, I think it's priced right for DraftKings because Giannetti is the only one who would look to grapple here. Giannetti is my pick to win the fight because I think he mixes it up a little better. Trezano could get a decision, but even then, for 7,600, he needs a high volume decision. I think there's going to be enough grappling here to kind of prevent that. So Giannetti's my preferred play. I think he gets it done at 8,600. Moving on to the main event. If you have anything and you're watching this live, drop them in here for the main event. We have Israel Adesanya, 8,200, taking on Brad Tavares, 8,000. Heard a really good reference to Brad Tavares today that I liked. It was on Half the Battle, so I'm guessing most people who are watching this have heard it already. Brad Tavares is the Hawaiian Michael Bisping. He's going to bring that point fighting type of style. Israel Adesanya, he can't get up off his back. His takedown game is not good. I know he did fighting against Rob Wilkinson. Rob Wilkinson and Brad Tavares are such different animals, it's not even worth mentioning. Whereas Tavares has beaten some big names, Talis Leites, Elias Theodorou, Vinny Magalhaes, Christoph Jacko. He did get knocked out by Robert Whittaker, but Whittaker's the champ. He's been in there with bigger guys. He strung together a few wins. The issue here is that he's not big on the output. He's that point fighter. Adesanya went to a decision with Marvin Vettori last time out, landed 57 strikes. He won the fight, but I think Tavares can mix in the takedowns. I'm worried neither guy scores very well. It's the opposite from the UFC 226 main event. You don't need 100% of the main event. I wouldn't even go anywhere near that. Adesanya is the more likely to land a big flashy knockout. Personally, I think it's first loss time. I think that Tavares is just going to be able to get the takedowns, control the fight. Adesanya is the most live in the first 2 minutes when he has the most energy and landing something flashy. I don't think that happens here. The X factor is that ankle injury of Tavares. We have to make sure he can go. Make sure you keep your ear to the ground on that. Stay tuned on Twitter. Assuming both guys are healthy, though, Tavares is the pick. And I don't have a ton of interest in this fight in terms of ceiling. Adesanya is the better play for GPPs. One last note for this card, as you probably got, and I mentioned at one point, a lot of live underdogs. Don't be afraid when you're building your tournament lineups to leave a lot of money on the table. It is a very viable strategy this week, especially in GPPs. So that's the TUF 27 finale edition of the DFS Express. I'll be recording the UFC 226 video shortly. Make sure and check that out. And as always, as I mentioned, and I do appreciate it a lot, go follow me on Twitter at the DFS Sniper. That is 1S. Good luck in your contest. I will see you hopefully in a few minutes for the next video, UFC 226. Otherwise, enjoy our back-to-back fights Friday and Saturday for International Fight Week.